Good evening and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of September 9th, 2021. Adequate electronic notice of this meeting of the Township Committee has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and by posting the notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board of the municipal building located at 1000 Route 10 in Whippany, and by posting notice on the Township's website, hanovertownship.com, and by emailing the notice and the agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk. At this time, Mr. Giorgio, would you please do a roll call?
Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalka.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Committeeman Francioli.
Here.
And Mayor Faramasca.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Thank you. Okay, please rise and remain standing and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as the Deputy Mayor leads us in a prayer.
Almighty God, we ask you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare of all the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance and tribute to the 20th anniversary of all those who perished on September 11th and all those who were affected, their families, friends, by its aftermath. We thank you. Okay, at this time, we have the joyful occasion for the administration of the oath of office to the new Chief of Police, Michael D. Locke, by the Deputy Township Clerk, Krista Giorgio.
Krista, the Bible. Okay.
I, Michael Locke,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and
and
the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments
and
established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and
justly perform
all the
duties
of the office of
Chief of Police
for the Township of Hanover,
for the Township of Hanover,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Chief?
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I prepared something, let's see if I can stick with it. First, I'd like to thank the Township Committee for having the confidence in me, and allowing me this opportunity. There's only been a few people that have held this position in Hanover Township, and it's an honor for me to be part of this group. My journey here started almost 21 years ago, and if not for the opportunities afforded to me by Chief Plate, Chief Gallagher, and Chief Roddy, I would not be standing here today. I'd also like to thank the officers that have come here to show their support, especially the Chiefs Association. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. You are the men and women that have taken an oath to serve your communities with honor and integrity. Some people look at you with disdain and hatred for wearing your uniform and doing your job. Let me reassure you, each and every one of you are part of the most noble profession in the world. And without you, this state and country would be even closer to the brink of anarchy. More specifically, I'd like to thank the men and women of the Hanover Township Police Department. Without the hard work and dedication of not only the sworn officers, but also the civilian staff, the department would not be able to operate as well as it does. As one of the most educated and highly trained departments in the county, you continue to work with the community to ensure that the people live, work, or visit Hanover Township are able to do so, knowing that the criminals will be aggressively pursued and dealt with accordingly in the criminal justice system. I look forward to what the future holds for this department and to be able to serve you as chief. Coming from a family with deep roots in serving their community, it is without a doubt that they have molded me into the man I am today. Growing up, I was able to watch what my brother and sister were doing, right or wrong, and be able to learn from those life lessons. Without the strong support of my parents during those many life lessons, I do not know where I would have ended up. For that, I can't thank you enough. But what I do know is, with this promotion, I now outrank Greenwich, Connecticut Police Department Sergeant Jeff Lodge, Hanover Police Department Lieutenant Rick Lodge, and North Township Police Department Lieutenant Kevin O'Shea, which makes me the highest ranking police officer in my family. And that's got to be good for something. Last but certainly not least, I would like to thank my wife Laura and 4 kids, Avery, Grayson, Finley, and Reed. Thank you so much for your love and support. Without it, none of this would have been possible. Thank you.
Children.
Thank you. We can go now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to celebrate this special occasion in the history of Hanover Township.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks, guys. Chief.
How's everybody?
Hey, thanks for coming, Chief.
My honor. Good to see the chief. Everything's helpful. Next story. God bless you.
Hey guys,
We appreciate it.
COVID, I'll keep my
We
distance. I
appreciate
seen your son.
I know.
What a good kid. In the gym, and then the other one lives on Fay Drive.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Chris.
You look good. Made a new suit.
Bye.
Okay, back to our regularly scheduled business. Mr. Georgeville.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with our agenda this evening, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular meeting of July 29th, 2021. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. So approved. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue next on the agenda, we have public hearings and adoption of 3 ordinances this evening. And we'll note for the record that the ordinances and the notice of introduction for all 3 ordinances appeared in full in the August 25th issue of the Daily Record in accordance with law. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do public hearing on ordinances 27 and 28 first, and we're going to postpone 29, 21 until after we do 27 and 28, and I'll explain why. So at this time, may we have a motion to convene the public hearings on ordinance numbers 27 and 28?
Motion?
We have a motion.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Is there any member of the public in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance number 27 or 28? You're a friendly face, Terry. Okay, hearing none, seeing none, may we have a motion to close on the public hearings on 27 and 28?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, on ordinance number 27, we had some minor, non-substantive issues with the approval of the township attorney and our professional planner on ordinance 27-21. So before we take a vote on 27-21, I just want to read into the record, for the benefit of the public, these non-substantive minor changes to the ordinance. So the first change is, again, non-substantive, in section 220-2, restrictions on hours of operation, paragraph B, any retail sales or retail services established to which the general public is invited that operates during the hours of 12 midnight and 5 a.m. shall file, and this is new, an annual certification of compliance with the township clerk. The following provisions shall apply. And then in B2, which is new language now that I'll read into the record, the certification of compliance shall be filed at least 45 days prior to, 1, the desired date upon which such operation is to begin, or 2, the end of the calendar year for any annual certification renewal. Then paragraph B4, deleting the word approval and adding the certification of such operation shall expire 11:59 p.m. on December 31st of the same calendar year, and then we're deleting for which the approval was granted and inserting instead, unless renewed in accordance with this section. And then paragraph B5, the renewal, we're deleting of any approval and putting in the annual certification shall require the filing of a new certification in accordance with the same procedures set forth in section 223B 1 through 4. Now, I realize that it's hard for you to follow that if you don't have the ordinance in front of you, but with the approval of the township attorney and the township planner, we needed to read those changes into the record, and those changes have been made now with the approval of the township committee. So on ordinance number 27-2021, as amended with the comments that I added to the record, and ordinance 28-2021, may we have a motion on the adoption of both those ordinances?
Motion moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Gallagher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cahill. On roll call for adoption of ordinance number 27-21 with the amendments, and ordinance 28-21. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalka.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Aye.
Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
And Mr. Ferramaska.
Aye.
So adopted. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on ordinance 29-2021, we had indicated at the last meeting on the 19th of August, and then in the notice that went in the Daily Record, that the public hearing on this ordinance rather, would take place this evening. And that will occur. We'll open the meeting to the public for any comment. However, because the planning board needs to make a recommendation on the adoption of this ordinance, the planning board cannot give its referral and recommendation until the planning board meets on September 21st. So we can open the meeting to the public for the public hearing, but we have to carry the public hearing to the Township Committee meeting of October 14th, pending the receipt of the recommendation from the planning board. So at this time, may we have a motion to conduct the public hearing on ordinance 29-2021?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Gallagher,
Second?
second by Mr. Cahill. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance 29-2021? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in the Whippany section of Hanover. The only thing I have to say about this ordinance is the exemption of him having to follow the tree ordinance of the town. And it's setting a precedent for other developers, or the same developer, in future projects, asking for the same thing, when that type of caveat is not available to the average homeowner in town. So I would really like for you to be, everyone to be very mindful that this is setting a precedent, and that if you're going to do this, then maybe you need to change the tree ordinance in town and allow this caveat to also be for homeowners as well, because I don't think it's fair that a developer gets special privileges when, the plain folk in town don't have that privilege as well. And they don't have the power of attorneys and, everything like that to come before the planning board and, and do all that kind of legal rigmarole. So that's my only concern. I understand it's in the settlement agreement and that you kind of have to, because it's in the settlement agreement as part of the fair share thing. But again, at the same time, it is creating a precedent, and like I said, it's not available to, the regular folks, the homeowners in town.
Terry, thank you for taking time to express your thought. If it weren't for that settlement agreement, it would have to go, as you said,
Right.
through the process that we all go through.
Right.
And one shall not be exempted from it because you are a developer doing something or this or that. So thank you for pointing that out. You did a good job explaining it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in chambers wishing to be heard concerning ordinance number 29-2021? If not, may we have a motion to continue the public hearing to the October 14th, 2021 meeting of the Township Committee?
Motion to continue.
We have a motion by Mr. Cahill.
Second?
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call to continue the public hearing, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
And Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
So approved. Continue the public hearing to October 14th. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the resolutions as a consent agenda, and we have the items on pages 2 and 3. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of the resolutions as a consent agenda?
Fred, just a quick question, that 166, is that part of River Park, or is that another lot? Am I in or out on that one?
That's the, yes, that's, yeah, I think, Mr. Malco, just for consistency purposes, I just would recommend that you recuse for consistency. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from members of the Township Committee? Okay, we'll take a vote then on the resolutions as a consent agenda, and Mr. Mahalko will be recusing on resolution number 166-2021. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko,
Yes, with that.
with that
caveat.
exception.
Yep.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
And Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
So approved. We continue, ladies and gentlemen, with raffle applications. The American Legion Post 155, St. John the Baptist Ukrainian Catholic Church, the Morris County Retirees Education Association Philanthropic Fund, and the Morris County Retirees Educational Association Philanthropic Fund. May we have a motion on the approval of the raffle applications?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gallagher,
Second?
second by Mr. Mahalko. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. On payment of bills, $5,733,506.45. May we have a motion on the approval to pay our bills?
I'll move to pay the bills.
So moved by Mr. Furmask.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. We'll pay our bills. Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
And we thank you, Mr. Business Administrator. Okay, at this time, we'd like to get a motion to open to the public.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. If there's a member of the public that would like to address the Township Committee at this time, please do so by going to the podium and stating your name and address.
Excuse me.
Yes, good evening. Dennis Fasciano, 39 Forest Way. I just want to bring up something from before regarding the traffic through Forest Way. Is there, I missed it, first part of the meeting, is there a survey being recommended for residents to get their feelings? And the other question is, if we don't do anything now, is there a point of no return where we cannot do anything regarding one way, no way, or any way? So that was my questions.
What's been completed up until now is there was a traffic study done by our police department. Did some traffic counts. In addition to that study, there was a survey that was sent out to what we define as those directly affected. We did not do all of Countrywood, all of Trailwood. We did, though, the routes that would be most affected, namely Forest, Poplar, Locust, Apple Tree, Countrywood, and McNabb. They were all surveyed. The results of that survey came back, and 56% of those respondents were in favor of doing what we call a cul-de-sac. The next most popular movement was to restrict and have the traffic exit only, no inbound traffic. There was 1% of the respondents that said that we should allow traffic to come in on the American Road, and the balance of those said, wait and see what happens. In addition to that, there were some members of the public this evening that raised some questions, and one of the questions they raised was the timeliness of doing something. Whether the timeliness of that potentially had an implication on what Hanover may or may not be able to do. That's an issue that we have to speak to our attorney about, to learn about that. But the Township Committee at this time needs to assess all the learning associated with this and come up with a concept to bring forward. And when we're ready to do that, we'll then assemble a much larger area that we can have a meeting, and probably, hopefully, it's post-COVID, we can all go to the recreation center and have as many people who would like to come in that fire capacity holds, and they can express their perspective as to what that concept is. So that's all the news that's fit to print as of this moment.
Okay, so I remember the survey was about 2 years ago. That was before there was any type of movement on that property, so I would not be surprised at different opinions as they see, and this is a bad point for Morris Plains, the parking garage, I could touch it with my hands. It was a poor design there. I think the survey, they had traffic count on Forest Way. I don't know if that's significant now. And the other point is that if all 276 opened at one time, we would see the big impact. They're going to be, and I don't know, I'm not sure if you know this, I think you had spoken to me about some of it opening in the fall. I don't know what's going to open in the fall. And so it's going to trickle in at different rates, and all of a sudden, one day, we could say, well, geez, why is there so much traffic on this road? Well, everything is open, and my question was, is it too late to do something when the cat's out of the,
Typically,
out of the
from a
house?
planning standpoint, you do traffic studies before something happens. Planning board never accepts a traffic study after the fact.
I know.
On approval.
I know
Because
that.
you want to have an anticipation. You know well, as being a former distinguished chairman of the planning board. So that's the best practice that's been established. The other thought I can share is that there is an analogous neighborhood, very similar to Trailwood in the borough of Morris Plains. It's shared by a street called Beach Street, which was spoken about,
Right.
which also is adjacent to what's being built in Morris Plains. Oddly enough, there's no access to Beach Street in this plan. The only access is to American Road, which direct access to Forest Way. The Beach Street community, which is part of a residential community that has one service point in and one service point out for ingress and egress through Speedwell Avenue, just north of the train station. So what's good for Hanover Township should have been good for Morris Plains as well. If we're going to participate in the traffic burden, they should have participated in traffic burden. It's the only thing we can share. We're going to try to make the best decision that we can that serves this community as well as it can, given the situation that the cards that were dealt with.
The only other thing after the fact, because if nobody does anything, is, and I hate to say this, is to put speed bumps on Forest Way if it's determined that the traffic is excess and speeding. And of course, I think somebody brought up about putting stop signs getting into our development. I'm not sure people even would hear to that. So I don't know if there's any plans to, if it's open, to have any kind of changes made on that curve, which is a blind spot to me.
We're still a
It's a
ways
danger
away.
thing. It's a real danger.
We're still a ways away from making any decision. I can assure you, whatever the decision comes to, we'll take into account safety.
Okay.
So
All right,
whatever it is, thank you for
thank
coming
you.
out and
Thank you,
expressing your
Mr.
thought.
You know, Mr. Mayor, we have to remind ourselves, we're working with a sister community, and we can't deny them the fact that they have to weigh in on this. We're working with them on Johnson Avenue. We're working with them on the 1515 project that's going to impact the area. We're working with them on so many other aspects, including coming in from American Way, where Menon's going in now. The impacts on our borders from their new apartment houses alone on Johnson Road is incredible. But we can't, look, we come first. Hanover comes first. If it's putting up a barrier across Forest Way, and that's what we want, that's what we'll do. But on the other hand, I think it's a regional solution that we have to come to. And I appreciate all the comments that I heard tonight from our neighbors. They're all valid. They're all various different solutions. We'll give them all consideration. But absent the good mayor of Morris Plains weighing in on this as well, I think we have to work together. It's foolish not to.
Well, Ron, I think you brought up a good point. We do need to get in touch with them, if nothing else, to help, or at least put some pressure to correct Hanover Ave and Speedwell. That seems to be where a lot of this is bottlenecking, and we've all been there. We've all been stuck in that traffic.
Excellent point there as well.
It's the Khyber Pass of Morris County.
Yeah, nobody wants to
It's out of
necessarily
control.
go that way, but they're going that way out of necessity because it backs up so far and so much. So that point needs to be brought forward. Now, is that all Morris Plains, or is that Morris Township there also? I think
Hanover Avenue is,
It's Morris Plains.
that's a county road, though. Hanover Avenue is county.
Yeah.
And by the way, coincidentally, I have a meeting coming up with the Morris County Traffic Committee that I...
put that on the list. Put that on the list.
This is a perfect
It is.
subject as well, but again, I go back to what we said earlier, Mike, I agree with you. We can't operate in an island here. We need a somewhat regional solution here. That's what I'm saying.
There's one block, no, there's 2 blocks, that's 2 lanes, and the rest of Hanover Avenue from Route 24 is 4 lanes until you get all the way up into Randall. That 2-block stretch. I'd like to know what the traffic impact is from that. Maybe we can learn from the county about that. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
maybe it's county.
We can try.
All right. We don't want to interrupt the public. If there's a member of the public that would like to address the Township Committee, this is your time.
Yes. Hi, Kathy Namorado Welsh, 8 Cherry Street. Been a resident, I don't know, over 35-plus years or whatever. And I've been waiting for the tennis courts. I know this is a trivial issue, but I've been waiting for the tennis courts in Upper Malapartis Park to open up. From what I understand, they've been out for bid since 2019. What is the issue there? Why is it taking so long to open the tennis courts? I mean, with the COVID environment that we have now, so tennis is a socially distant sport that we all should, entertain in and use it for the purpose that it's there for. And I like to ride my bike, since I'm so close to it, put my tennis rackets in my backpack and going. I can't do that. Well, can you explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, I can address that. We appropriated originally, back in 2018, I believe, $70,000. We went out to bid in 2019, and we found that we didn't have any bidders. And we were told the cost would be prohibitively much higher than $70,000, believe it or not. Not only for the tennis courts, but also to put in some pickleball courts as well.
Exactly.
So we resolved the problem of the funding because we were able to find some additional money through our Open Space Trust Fund, because it is an improvement to a park and recreation facility. So we have advertised to go out to receive bids next Tuesday,
Okay.
the 14th of September. Jerry, do you know if anyone has picked up the bid packages?
I don't know.
You don't know. So we're hopeful that we will have vendors come out and bid next Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And if we're successful, then we'll be in a position to make an award at the meeting on October 14th.
Okay.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Is this other towns having the same issues? Why aren't there any bidders?
I really don't know. I can't answer that question about other towns, but we did have a problem in attracting bidders. And we advertise, as we are required to do so by law.
Okay.
And as I said originally, the estimate, we thought was going to be around $70,000.
Right.
And we were told off the record that it's much, much higher than that.
Okay.
So we've appropriated additional funding.
Enough to be competitive with?
We hope so.
Okay.
We hope so.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other member of the public who'd like to address the Township Committee at this time? Please do so. Seeing none, can I get a motion to close this portion of our meeting?
Motion. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, at this time, we'd like to switch to the part of our agenda known as other business. So if there's a member of the Township Committee who would like to report about other business, this would be the appropriate time. So why don't we begin with Committeeman Halcom?
Thank you very much. Just a couple things. First of all, the pool, Orby Middle Pool, closed last weekend. It was a very successful year. The staff, Eddie Cashin and his staff, and Denise Brennan did a terrific job. There's always things that pop up, and they manage them very well. We're looking forward to some new showers for next year and hopefully some new amenities. So again, thank you all for the residents that came out. Again, it was a great, great season. One of our highest residents guest rates. Okay, it was one of our highest guest rates ever. Pardon me. Another thing I need to bring up is the community center. The rec center is shut down now. We'll be shut down for about a week, having trouble with the HVAC. So if you have an event that was going to be going on there, unfortunately, I think we had this, our first live senior meeting was supposed to happen, and it needs to be canceled. Yeah, I believe that, I don't know if they're going to go virtual or going to postpone it. I hadn't heard, but I just got this, about 2 hours ago, I got this notice. So yeah, the community center is shut down for the time being, hopefully back up in a week or less. And then finally, this weekend, next weekend, the 18th, Hanover Township Day, will be here at the municipal campus from 3 to 7, and that will be followed by fireworks from 7:30. We're going to have our usual booth set up with all of our local groups out there having booths and fun things for the kids, games, inflatables, that type of stuff. And then there'll also be food trucks, too, for the firework portion of that. So, thank you very much.
Great news about the pool in terms of the participation rate being that high.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It's really, really good year. It really was.
Great. All right, Committeeman Cahill.
Thank you. So first, congratulations again to the new chief, Mike Locke, but also best wishes to former Chief Mark Roddy in his retirement, and I'm sure I can speak for the rest of the committee and everybody here. We wish him well. I wanted to jump over now to some of the excitement from last week, specifically September 1st. Chief Locke's first day officially on the job was also the day that Ida paid a visit to us. So it was quite a busy night. That night, Chief had given me some specifics, but there were over 100 calls to police for assistance. What the chief pointed out was it wasn't only a police effort, although they did call in extra troops for sure. There was a bunch of people out there not only answering those 100 calls, but closing roads, maintaining traffic, redirecting traffic, and that sort of thing. But also the fire departments. Whippany Fire Department, Cedar Knolls Fire Department were there to assist the entire time, and I can speak firsthand. I went down to the CVS to observe what was going on Route 10, and Whippany Fire Department had the road closed off with their apparatus. So they were there to help. I know Chief Locke actually sent a letter of gratitude to both districts for all the help that they had. It would go without saying that also the OEM department, specifically Tom Quirk, as well as DPW, just above and beyond. They all coordinated together, and as bad as the storm was, I think that they managed it as well as they could. There were a few people that thought that they could make it through it with the cars, and they learned the hard way. But you know what? Our police and fire were there, and were able to make sure that they were extracted from their cars safely. Lastly, I just wanted to mention, Mike had mentioned Hanover Township Day. As a part of Hanover Township Day, we're going to be celebrating our 300th birthday as a township. This is delayed, obviously, due to COVID. It actually happened in December, but we will be having some special things at the Landmark Committee table. They'll be bringing out a bunch of different exhibits and some interesting things just to recognize and to celebrate that milestone in the township. So just be aware of that and pay them a visit at Hanover Township Day as well.
Thank you, Committeeman Cahill. It's great to hear the level of coordination for all of our various public safety components, from police, fire, OEM, to include the work done by DPW. I mean, it's impressive to see, after a storm like that, all the work that was being done, the fact that 8 o'clock the next morning, they were out inspecting the roadways, picking up debris. So, you got to give credit where it's due, and they clearly deserve it. That's fine. What would you like to share?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and you're absolutely right. Credit where credit is due. Everyone, Public Works as well, in touch with Brian that morning. His crews were out making sure that storm drains, et cetera, were all clear. Did a yeoman job, and while he was on his vacation day, I might add. But God bless it, Hanover fared very well. When we consider all the other towns that were impacted by this, we were blessed that we had very little damage. Mike brought up the concern with our seniors for their next, what was to be their next face-to-face meeting. That was going to be on September the 16th. That has been formally canceled. Ken Oxley will be sending out an email as well as some other mail to the members. So we'll probably move that to the October meeting, and we'll see if we can get the air conditioning fixed by October.
Hopefully by October.
If not, it may, we'll just open windows. I mean, we could do that too. Just a few things along the way here. I do want to bring up on our Board of Health. Last evening, we had a very well-attended meeting of the Board of Health. I was very happy to see that. Many of our parents came out for the express reason of talking about going back to school and the protection that we give to our youngsters in going back to school, and their concerns, I might add, as well, for the executive orders that require all of our youngsters now going back to school to wear masks. They had many, many valid concerns, which they brought before Dr. Zaborowski, and Dr. Perez was also there. Everyone had an ample opportunity to express themselves. There was no time limit, thanks. The chairman thankfully left the meeting open, and I think everybody felt that they had an opportunity to ask their questions, and they were given a great many specific answers about COVID. Where are we with COVID? We're very concerned now with the variants that are coming off of this virus. We don't know enough about some of them. And the Delta virus seems to be the focus right now. Where some facts are concerned on this, Hanover Township last week, in the past week, and by the way, this is information that can be made public, otherwise we want to be very cautious that we don't share information with our public that could cause concern or alarm in any way, but this has been cleared by the board. So there were 21 cases of COVID reported last week in Hanover. Now, those do not mean hospitalized cases. What that means is a diagnosed infection. It could be minor in nature, but that statistically is where we are. We're awaiting more information on the vaccination process for our young students, and some parents are ardently against the idea of vaccination, others are not. They should be given the option. We made that abundantly clear to the governor in a letter that we wrote that supported the superintendent's letter, Superintendent Wasco's letter. Children between the ages of 5 and 11 still are not approved for vaccinations. That may be another several months, maybe the middle of winter before that approval takes place. Is that a concern? Yes, because COVID cases now are climbing very rapidly in youngsters. 1 out of 4 youngsters that, 1 out of 4 infections that we're reporting now are a youngster. And we are monitoring that with the State Board of Health, and in conjunction with that, those who have been vaccinated and chose to be vaccinated, shortly we expect that CDC is going to recommend you get the booster shot. It'll probably be the same booster shot that you got from your original vaccination, whether it's Pfizer or whether it's Moderna, etc. The longer you can wait before getting the booster shot, the better, because your body will build up greater antibodies with the current vaccination to the point when you get your booster shot, that'll be in addition to the antibodies that you now have. So that is set. So it's highly recommended. The board also doesn't want you to forget that flu season is coming up. Now, my question was, having been vaccinated, is that the same protection against flu in the coming months? And the answer is no. So it is recommended for seniors that you get the flu shot. Flu shot will be available in the town by October, and that particular shot will be a very strong dosage for the seniors versus a common dosage that will be used for everyone else. The additional dosages of flu shots, and I'll just describe that as a lesser dosage for those that aren't compromised or seniors, is not available to us yet. We'll give you more information on that shortly as it goes through. One other piece of information, and I don't want to belabor it long on this, but East Hanover informs us that they have engaged Ridgewood Diagnostic Laboratories to offer COVID testing at the Tom Rinaldi Recreation Center located in the Lurker Park field in East Hanover. That's available to us here in Hanover and the surrounding communities at no charge. If you feel you'd like to have the COVID testing, it's available to you there Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a walk-up or drive-through. It's happening now. You want to take advantage of it, please do so. Again, there will be no charge for that. So on that note, Mr. Mayor, That's where we are currently with our Board of Health Department, so thank you.
Thank you for an informative update on the Board of Health. Deputy Mayor.
Two quick ones, John. First of all, I'd like to thank our first responders, DPW. It was a tough storm. I was also out quite a bit, saw some of the floods, talked to TQ and Brian throughout. Handled very well. We did get lucky. Two things. Terry, I want to thank you for sharing that piece on consolidation of our school districts. We talked about home rule at the last meeting. I do believe with all the times we've heard about this, it now has legs. I think we're going to have to really share information on this, participate in fighting it. They're calling it school regionalization, but it's just going to mean that we have to answer to people that we don't know. People that we don't know are going to have a lot of authority over our children and our families. So Terry, I appreciate you sharing it. Anything you do see that we may not see, if you could share it with us, I will be your biggest supporter and mouthpiece to let people know this is going on. We'll share it with the committee because this is real. It's not good for Hanover Township, and it is going to be costly. So thank you. The last thing I'll say is we are back to school. Please drive safely. I really appreciate the way Krista and Joe put on our new digital sign out there in yellow and black, schools open, drive safely. I personally will share that notification on Facebook to as many people as I can, as often as I can, because our children are out there, they're on their bikes, they have their heavy backpacks, they're talking, they're texting, they're not paying attention. That puts the onus on us to be a little more careful and pay attention and be a little more conscious of distracted driving. So that's it for me, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, just an appeal for small business in Hanover Township. Please support your small businesses. They have been hurt significantly due to this COVID situation. Economic Development has established a new initiative. That new initiative is something which is trying to establish an online directory to facilitate location and identification of those businesses. So please reference it, use it. From an economic development standpoint, you've probably seen some of these. Deputy Mayor worked with our Wildcats to beautify a portion of our town recently. So if you haven't seen it, please drive over to the area of Parsippany Road and you'll see some beautiful flags. Those flags will be going up throughout our town. So we have great pride in our community, and we look forward to instilling some of that pride in our youngsters who are stepping up and doing some charitable work themselves, taking on responsibilities for gardening and planting in areas. So it's all good. Look forward to seeing everybody. Township Committee welcomes and looks forward to seeing you on September 18th, and may we have a beautiful day. And that's it for this evening. We thank you for coming out. Motion to adjourn this part of our meeting, but not an official adjournment, because we're going to continue with our next part of this meeting.
Oh, gosh.
So moved.
All in favor?
Good?
We're good.
All right.
Very good.